inevitably hubba. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Look at Life Project. It is your girl, AWOL, Allie, Allison Crystal Mascarello, the first, A to the L-O, hello. However you know me, thanks for being here. This is Look at Life Project, and we're going to try something a little different today. So if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back for more of whatever it is that we do here. And if you're new, we would love to have you be a part of the subscribership, follow-tude. I'd love it if you would subscribe. Thanks in advance. So, sometimes there are things that happen in the world that cause you to disrupt your regular content and try something new. So today we're trying our hands at commentary and or reactionism. And that is because the world has been through a lot this week. Just yesterday alone, we experienced 2 really big breakups. One, where the United States broke up with Donald Trump. 2, and who saw this coming? No one. Dale broke up with Claire. Just this last episode, Sarah broke up with Matt James. Let's get into it. Grab yourself a cup of, what did we decide we were going to say? Grab some coffee, grab some snacks, Oreo, mint, thin cookies. I'm just naming things that are in my cupboard. Grab whatever you need to grab and bring it back to whatever room you're watching this video in. Let's go. So we're here to give a little bit of a recap to this last episode of The Bachelor. I do follow Bachelor Nation, sad to say. I love me some trash reality TV, and I've never made a video about it until this week. I just felt completely compelled when I watched this recent episode, aka the episode that turned the Mean Girls franchise into a trilogy. These girls are savage. Also, I don't know if I can use clips from ABC. My channel's not monetized, so I probably could. I don't really know how all that works yet. So I'm going to be reenacting the most important scenes with Totoro figurines, because that's what grown-ups do. So in the very first scene we start off, we've got Sarah passing out. She can't take it anymore. She's got a lot on her mind. Sorry, dog hair is always floating in every video. Sarah passes out dramatically. This is right when the other girls start to think, Sarah's a little too much drama. We don't like Sarah. They start jumping on board the we don't like Sarah train. So MJ, whom I previously was a big fan of, just because she seemed like a cool girl, she starts losing me in this episode. So right away she says, so I'm waiting for my name to be called, and then Sarah passes out. I mean, if Sarah would just save some audacity for the rest of us, am I right? How dare she pass out? So then Victoria says, pull yourself together and don't pass out, Sarah. It's not the Sarah show. Okay, you've been making it your show the entire time, Victoria. So don't come in here with your attitude and say, Sarah. So just cool your jets, Vic. So if the fainting wasn't enough to get the drama kicked off, then I lose all faith in Matt James. Because instead of asking the other ladies, instead of trying to dig more into the situation, he just sends Marilyn home. Now, I did see some articles circulating that there was a little bit more to the story than what was presented, but I just have to say, I'm disappointed in you, Matt, and I'm disappointed in you, other ladies, because not a one of you said, excuse me, Matt, I've heard about this situation that's happening, and I completely disagree with what's going down. Because Marilyn is a lovely lady. I know you don't want to spend your time talking to a boy about the other girl, but somebody should have stood up for her, and that was a real precursor to the rest of the episode, let me tell you. Then we move into the group date. Now, this group date was a whole hot mess. I'm not going to shame anybody for sharing their personal deeds and their feelings. That was a part of the date. Do what you got to do. I'm just a little bit more private about private things. It's not better, it's just my way. This date give me the uncomfortables, okay? It was uncomfy. I don't want to hear what you want to do in the bedroom with the guy that I'm dating, that 30 of you are also dating. No, thank you. So we knew from the beginning Katie's was going to be wild. Based on the way that she entered the show, she was going to go there. What I really appreciated was Ashley I's reaction to Victoria's writing. Didn't need to hear all that. So Anna goes first. Anna gives me big Hannah Brown vibes. I don't know if it's like the way that her mouth is, but also her like goofy personality. And like, I think that I like her, but I'm not really sure. And then later on in the episode, I decide that I don't. So we're just gonna get there. We'll get there when we get there. Ashley I enters the scene. I love it when she's on the show. She's Bachelor Nation legend, and I feel connected to her because of how much she cried on national TV, because I cry that much in like everyday life. So it just felt good to me. I didn't care for the fact that this was a plug for Chris Harrison's book that he wrote, but at least props Lauren Zima. You know what your man likes because he wrote it all in a book. By the way, I'm a huge fan of the Lauren Zima Chris Harrison love story. If you're not into that, you need to just get into that, because that'll give you more hope than any like 2-month weird relationship ending in an engagement that may or may not last, which now we don't even have any guarantees because like Ashley and JP broke up, Carly and Evan broke up. The breakups are real. Not sure if love is. The other thing that gave me the extreme uncomfortables is the way that Matt said,
chocolate cake.
Because I feel like it was supposed to be sexy, but then I also feel like he was actually just talking about chocolate cake. Then we move on to dinner, and this is where Sarah forgets what show she's on. There's always one person who suddenly realizes that they're dating somebody that 30 other girls are also dating, and it's like really difficult. Yeah, yep. And inevitably on a group date, there's always going to be that conversation where the producers wait until somebody says, as long as I get my time with Matt, I'll be fine. So Sarah decides to show up to the group date. I too think that this conversation could have waited until like the group date was over or whatever, but I can't fault you, girl, because I also don't like to wait for important conversations to happen because I get all spaghetti brained. So she comes in, she's got the vocal fry working hard, and she's like, Matt, I just like don't know. And I guess I just felt like I needed to come here and talk to you right now because like I don't know what I'm doing here. And like, and Matt's like, and that's when the We Hate Sarah party opens the doors to all the attendants. Come on in. The water's fine. We all hate her. She's the worst. Down with Sarah. So Sarah comes to the group and she's like, hi, I just wanted to tell everybody, like, I'm sorry for interrupting. Like, I'm really sorry. And then the girls are like,
well, if you were sorry, then you wouldn't have done it in the first place.
Which actually is an argument that doesn't make very much sense, because like if you were really sorry, then you wouldn't have done it in the first place. Then you wouldn't really be sorry, because then there would be no action for you to feel bad about and therefore be sorry about. So that statement just really doesn't like the sprockets don't align. Do you know what I'm saying? She can't be sorry if she didn't do anything to be sorry for. So, I mean, I guess props for coming in to talk to them, but those girls were like, no, you can't be sorry. You should have just never done anything wrong, Sarah. Blah, blah, blah. We hate Sarah. Okay, so now Serena P is going to go on a date. She gets the date card. She's the cutest, and she's maybe one of the only ones left that we're allowed to like after this episode, and I'll tell you why in a second, because spoilers are coming. If you haven't seen the latest episode, you should probably go watch it, or like not care about spoilers or something. So Serena's the cutest, and she gets the date card and she's all excited, but the first thing she says is like, I mean, I feel guilty because I know you're all excited. What a sweetheart. So then Matt comes to pick up Serena. And what does he do to make Serena feel special, to make her feel like she is the only girl for him? He is here for the date. He wants to go talk to Sarah. So Matt loses points again because he shows up to take a girl on a date, make her feel special, and then he goes to talk to a different girl. Rude. Rude, 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 rude. 5 times rude, Matt. But do you get a pass? Yeah, because they think you're handsome. Does Sarah get a pass? No. Did she ask you to come talk to her? No. Is it her fault? Yes, it is. So anyways, then Matt goes on a date with Serena. She's totes adorbs. They ride horses. They get in the water. I don't remember. All I remember is that it's really cute. She like kind of pokes fun at him for having a turtle when he was a little kid. Serena P for Bachelorette. I'm already calling it. She's adorable. I want to be friends with her. I do have this complaint about their date though. I hate the sound of people kissing. It is like ASMR stirring mac and cheese into a microphone. I can't handle it. Please stop miking people's kisses. Ooh, so then when they're on the date, the witch's brew is just stewing and stirring. The hate is just steaming, and the girls are sitting in their own grumpiness, and they're just ready to attack. Like the claws have been sharpened. They've been sharpening them all day. A date card shows up at the door. And what do you know? Sarah comes trotting down the stairs just in time, just like Henry and Jane when we ask them if they want to go outside or if they want a treat. They're like, they could be dead asleep. And we'd be like, you want to go outside? And then they're both like, MJ comes in with her fakery and she was like, I was worried about you. I didn't know what to think. It was like pulling a Tyra Banks, like, we were all rooting for you. I wanted to apologize and just address everything and say that I'm so sorry. And the tears are starting to flow, and those girls go in. Those girls are like alligators, and they're ready to... No mercy, Sarah. You suck. You're not sorry. Sarah's like, I'm so sorry. While I do think she is like a little bit dramatic and sensitive, I do think that her apology was sincere. And these girls, just the fangs and the claws and the mean looks and the mean words, and they attack. They go in. Victoria's like smiling the whole time. Abigail, America's sweetheart, I was rooting for her. Abigail even jumps in on it. Then Kit's like, the rest of your living situation here is gonna be terrible. Sarah asked to talk to MJ, and MJ was like, I need to cool off. And then later, MJ's complaining that Sarah didn't try to communicate with any of them when she very clearly tried to say sorry, and you were all too rude to talk to her about it. So I just like, girls are nasty, man. Whenever Steve watches this show with me, he's like, man, girls are ruthless, because we are. So all these girls are attacking, and just like before with Marilyn, only this is way worse. Not one of these girls comes to the rescue. All the girls are attacking. You should have done this, and you shouldn't have done this, and you're taking our time, and your rest of your living situation is going to be horrible, and you're toxic, and you're this, and even if you apologize 20 times, I wouldn't forgive you. Not one of these girls who's supposed to be a decent match for a decent human bothers to stick up for Sarah and say like, hey, maybe we shouldn't all attack her at the same time. Sarah's crying, and not one of them could set aside their own personal gain to say like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should lay off. It really bothers me to the point where I had to make my first reaction commentary video because these girls were straight up mean. And there were some girls who didn't say anything, so I'll at least give them that. But somebody stick up for the girl. Even if you don't like her and you don't like the way that she's going about things, nobody deserves to be treated like that. Sorry. Nobody deserves that. So finally, the next day, Katie gets some decency and goes up to the girls' room. And she says to Sarah, hey, how are you doing? I just wanted to check in. And Sarah's like, I've already made up my mind. I'm going to go home. And Katie has the decency to say, look, I have to know that Matt explored his relationship with all of them if I want it to be me in the end. Which is like still a little bit self-serving, but also like the only person who bothered to see if Sarah was okay. And then showed incredible compassion. Sarah shared her story about her dad, and Katie kind of opened up about her situation with her dad, and they decided it was best for Sarah to go home. And then Katie goes back down to all the girls and she's like, listen, we need to keep it classy in this situation because we don't know somebody's story. And that's the point of this whole video. That's why I wanted to make this reaction. You don't know what somebody else is going through. So how about don't be a turd? Because now all of those girls are going to look like the world's biggest jerks. The biggest turds are going to look like big, smelly, stinky loads that were dropped onto the Bachelor franchise, whatever mansion they're renting out. Do you know how dumb they're going to feel when they watch that episode back and see that Sarah wasn't just some dramatic, selfish monster, but that she was actually going through a lot and her family was having a really difficult situation and she really didn't know if she wanted to be there or not. Now, I'm going to have a hard time rooting for you, and I'm probably going to have to look up Reality Steve and see who wins because I'm upset with all of you. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Y'all should have been nicer to Sarah. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know their story. When they're rude to you at Walmart, when they're short with you at Starbucks, or when they cut you off in traffic, or whatever it might be, you don't know why people are the way that they are. So let's give a little grace and give people a pass. Can we do that? Can we stop being turds? Just assume that everybody has some story, some difficult situation that they're facing, because they probably do. So then we get to the end of the show. Matt once again loses some more points with me when he tries to convince Sarah that she should stay, even though she said, like, hey, I got this stuff going on with my family. And he's like, no, you should be here. You should stay for me. It would be a tragedy if you left. No, Matt, you know what would be a tragedy is if something happened to her dad while she was gone and then you still didn't pick her in the end. So unless you're Claire and Dale Sure, which we all know how that turns out, don't ask somebody to stay when they're telling you they need to go be with their dad. So then Sarah drops the only bomb that she could possibly think to drop in order to get Matt off her back and let her go. And she says, I've prayed about this. He already opened the season with the prayer. You can't argue with prayer. You can argue with prayer, Matt. Which, by the way, those of you who are up in a stink because Matt opened the season with a prayer, give me a break. Like, let the man pray. He didn't grab your head and force physically bow it and then bind your hands together and said, you pray now or else. I might not have been comfortable writing the next chapter of Chris Harrison's naughty novel, but you know what? That would have been my choice, to just step out of that part of the date. So can we all just relax and let people do the things that they want to do? Don't be turds. Assume that everybody has a story. Let Matt pray, but also he probably needs to pray a little more because he's just messing it up. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Sarah, I wish you and your family the best. I really do, and I hope that you get some solid apologies. Can you give us some hope in Bachelor Nation, Matt? Can you do that? Okay. Thank you. That's all I have for you this week, guys. Remember not to be a turd, and thank you for being here. Bye.